everyone, it's Kayla from the Adult Services Department here at CPL, and today I'm going to do a review for you on Naomi Novik's latest book from the Scholomance series, book number 1, A Deadly Education. Let's get started. So to start, a little background on Naomi Novik. She is an award-winning author. She has written the books Uprooted and Spinning Silver and the Temeraire series. All of those books have won fantasy awards, and they are noted for having leading female characters that subvert reader expectations and go against stereotypical gender norms that are often given to female characters. And our leading lady, Galadriel, aka Elle, in A Deadly Education is no exception. Another amazing thing is actually that Naomi Novik is a co-founder of AO3, Archive of Our Own, which is a huge fan fiction platform. So if you read fan fiction, if you write fan fiction, you should read this book just to pay homage to someone who blessed us so. Thank you, Naomi Novik. To summarize A Deadly Education, we follow the story of Galadriel, Elle for short, and that's what she calls herself. And she goes to the Scholomance, a magical school, where these young sorcerers are meant to hone their gifts. And if you survive the school and hone your gift well enough, you are invited into an enclave, which is the magical elite of the world. It just happens that Elle's gift is for mass destruction. Elle protects this secret and keeps others away with her really witty personality and her kind of defiant spirit. She can actually be a little bit scornful. We're here for it. And really, though, she wants to join an enclave. That is really how you survive in the magical world. To be in an enclave means negotiating your way into a prestigious and powerful circle of people. One of those people is our other main character, Orion Lake. So he is like our golden boy, rich and beloved and powerful. And then there's Elle, who is the total opposite. So in the story, we see how they have to come together and really learn how to work together. And it was always Elle against the world, and now it's Elle trying to make friends and figure things out and survive the world. First, before you even start reading, I suggest that you find a playlist on whatever favorite listening app you use that really sets a dark and powerful mood. This always definitely helps me get into the zone and really fall into the world of what I'm reading. And for the world of the Scholomance and just following Elle's personality and who she is as a person, this is a great idea. Okay, so let's talk immediate thoughts right when we first start reading. I loved it instantly because our very first lines are along the lines of, I knew I had to kill Orion the second time he saved my life. Girl. Okay, tell me more. Tell me why. And here's this little excerpt that I would love to read to you guys that really just nails Elle's personality right from the beginning, and I think it was just brilliant of Naomi Novik to put this right at the start because it's really what hooked me. I had to get the hard eyes so you really see my feelings about Elle. So we start with Orion. You okay? Gal, right? He said to me, just to put some salt on the wound. We'd been in the same lab section for 3 years. No thanks to you and your boundless fascination for every dark thing creeping through the place, I said icily. And it is not Gal. It has never been Gal. It's Galadriel. And if that's too many syllables for you to manage all in one go, Elle is just fine. Yes. Tell him. I love it. Then we have Orion, clearly confused that someone is not falling at his feet. I'm sorry? As if he didn't understand what was going on. No, I said. I'm sorry. Clearly I'm not performing my role up to standard. I threw a melodramatic hand over my forehead. Orion, I was so terrified, I gasped, and flung myself onto him. He tottered a bit. We were the same height. Thank goodness you were here to save me. I could never have managed a soul eater all on my own. And I hiccuped pathetically into his chest. Would you believe? He actually tried to put his arm around me and give my shoulder a pat. That's how automatic it was for him. I jammed my elbow into his stomach to shove him off. We're not here for a man to save us. She is trained for this. She knows what to do. She's ready to take care of it. But you assumed she wasn't, and she is not going to let you forget that that was the wrong assumption. And that is why I instantly loved Elle. Some background on Elle as a character anyway, even though I've already expressed my love for her. She is clearly very educated, but it's more than that. It's not just book smarts. She's got that tenfold. It's that she's got the book smarts down, and she knows what to do with it to take care of herself. But she also has the social know-how and the political analysis in her mind to just see where the dominoes are going to fall. So she knows instantly when she goes into a situation how it's going to work out positively or negatively for herself and the other people around her from that moment all the way through to graduation. Elle is also great because she's an anti-hero, so she's not classically courageous. She doesn't have these huge upstanding morals that she wants everybody else to follow. She just wants to get to graduation and then survive in the real magical world. And I love that about her. When I picked up the book, I didn't realize that she was going to be an anti-hero and that our whole point of view would be from the anti-hero. And then on the flip side, we have Orion, our traditional hero, who is kind of problematic. And it's a really interesting way to read the story. A few things to understand as you are reading this book is the concept of mana, which is power, and scholomance politics. So let's go over both of those briefly. So mana is just power, and you can build it up by exerting yourself or by taking it from someone or something else. So Elle builds up her mana by working out in her room, and then there are people who are called maleficers. So these are basically like evil wizards, and they get their mana from other living things. And sometimes they will bring sacrifices into the scholomance, but then they grow hungrier, they need more, it's not enough, it goes by too quickly, and they start getting their mana from the people around them. And it kills the people around them, and they die really young and fast anyway. It's a terrible way to do things, but that's the two ways that mana works. So about the politics of the scholomance. It's reflective of the outside world, what with the enclaves and everything, those magical, powerful families that have magical, powerful kids forming relationships inside of the scholomance. But overall, because getting to graduation is so hard in itself, what with the mouths trying to eat kids left, right, and center all the time and just really like plummeting that student population, students form alliances with each other, playing off their skills and trying to like worm their way into enclaves and like forming these tight-knit groups. They travel everywhere together, they trade tools and spells, and it's very nuanced. And so the enclaves basically represent classism. They are historically built up groups of families that are knit together through their shared power. And because they have shared power, they're also like super protected. So of course you want to get in with the enclaves to survive both in the school and outside of it, and set your kids up for success and so on and so forth. But because that makes them like super safe high class royalty, they're super aware that other people want to be in with them. So they treat like lesser people as though they are lesser. They ask them to do the dirty work, the harder work, the more dangerous work, and those people accept those tasks because they want to survive. So there's this constant power struggle, and Elle is watching it all. As I said before, we see everything through her eyes, and she's just seeing it all, and she's like, this isn't right. So that's really like the sub-story of the whole scholomance series. Really, we're just like survive, survive, survive. Classism is trash. So for readers who enjoy the literature on magical schools, I saw a lot of readers anticipating this book, wanting to know, is this going to be like The Magicians? Is it going to be like the next Harry Potter? But I'm here to tell you, no, it's like neither. And I'm so happy it's like neither. So it's really nothing like The Magicians at all, so we're not even going to touch on that. But I'm going to make some Harry Potter comparisons. If you were a Harry Potter kid, this part's for you. So I think that making comparisons between your reads is a really great way to get a feel for everything about it, from the mood to a sense of what the author is trying to describe, and everything from the characters to the settings. So actually, let's start with the setting. Let's compare the Scholomance to Hogwarts. So where Hogwarts and the Scholomance are actually both unreachable by non-magical people, but Hogwarts is actually truly rooted in the real physical world. But the Scholomance is in the void, and it is held together by belief. So the blueprints for the school are actually posted all over the place to reinforce the belief in it, and that makes the structural integrity greater. So they're actually very different. Now let's address characters. Let's first start with our golden boys, Orion and Harry. So the second Orion comes onto the scene, you're like, "Hey bud, you feel familiar. You gonna save some lives? I bet you're gonna save some lives." But he's dramatically heroic without even trying. He's really oblivious and awkward and humble when people praise him. And early on, you love to hate him and you grow to tolerate him, just like our girl Elle does. Now let's talk Elle versus Hermione. Elle could remind you of Hermione if Hermione were way less soft and a lot more mean, and super straightforward with Harry from the beginning about how she was smarter than him and more talented than him and didn't need him to save her. How can we talk about this without comparing the Elle and Orion relationship with the Harry and Hermione relationship, right? So Harry and Hermione were basically like siblings. Hermione and him cared about each other a lot, and Hermione really coddled Harry a lot. Elle and Orion are not like this at all, and it's really, really refreshing. So they're very snarky to each other. Elle never ever stops reminding Orion that he doesn't have to be a hero, please stop saving people. And it's so refreshing to just see this character who's not so desperate to maintain a friendship, and instead is just like, you can be my friend if you want to, I guess, but I got stuff going on. And she never stops reminding him that he lived in this perfect enclave protected bubble, and his life is amazing, and other people don't have it so easy. So do better. Work harder. You can go around saving people all day long, and that doesn't make you a good person. And she has no problem saying things like this to Orion the way Hermione would have a very hard time saying things like that to Harry. But overall, it makes their dynamic and their relationship much more interesting to read, and that makes them stronger as wizards. Now let's talk about the big bad evil things in each of the series. We've got the Harry Potter baddies, Voldemort and the Death Eaters, and then we have the Mals in the Scholomance series. So Mals are the nasty things that go bump in the night, and also during the day, all the time really, at the Scholomance. So they're killing off a bunch of the student population, but there's nothing unusual about that. They actually remind me a lot of D&D monsters. Mimics and Maw-mouths are some that are mentioned among many, many others. And they're very well described. It's excellent. I love the Mals as a whole element to the story. Instead of people killing things, we have the Mals as just this naturally dark element. It's fantastic. Much like how J.K. Rowling has an entire website dedicated to the world of Harry Potter that you can explore the lore of and find your house and all that cool stuff. If you want to explore the world of the Scholomance series, you can visit the website below and go through a day at the school, see what the dorm is like, the library, the cafeteria. It's really fun and interesting, and it's kind of like a choose your own adventure to learn more about it type thing, and I suggest giving it a try. Okay, so let's dive into the relationship dynamics of the main characters. So, of course, are Elle and Orion an item, or are they friends? I actually went into the read expecting an enemies to lovers trope. I love that trope. I was really excited. And so then I was actually a little disappointed when they just start developing a pretty great friendship. It's really great to watch their friendship grow. And it's fantastic because they're so real and honest with each other. It showed that we didn't have to have a really dramatic romance, that other types of relationships can be complex and just as important for the self-esteem and growth of a person or a character. And Elle is actually making a couple of friends and really like cultivating these relationships, and because we're seeing everything from her perspective, we're seeing every single thought she has about how they're developing, and she's like, why do they want to be my friend? How should I respond to this question? And it's really interesting to see that develop, and I think it's really great for readers to see that these are things that happen all around you every day. And again, that stories don't always need to focus on a romantic relationship. And sometimes friendship can be the true power of the story, and it really adds to Elle's power in the story, because without friends and without alliances, she's not getting anywhere. But she's really getting both friends and alliances more than she bargained for. So it was really clever of Naomi Novik to be like, here's a great friendship storyline. It also drives the plot, and they work together really seamlessly. The whole climax of the story was actually really interesting and fun to read. I had no idea where we were going until we got there, but I was glad to be reading it when I got there, and it actually played off all these other elements that Naomi Novik cleverly built up throughout the earlier parts of the book. It played off of the Scholomance politics and classism, the affinities and the learning tracks that the kids take, the spell complexities that are needed to do things, and a whole need for teamwork to really get anything done. And then the plot twist happened, and honestly it had me like, excuse me! The whole time you really had me like, oh, we're okay, I'm convinced of this one thing, and now here we are. Okay, Naomi, I see what you did there, being a great author and everything. It's fine. But now I'm really, really floored. The whole ending, like the very, very ending, I was just like... But that's how you know it was a great read, and now I'm really excited for the next book. Overall, I would give this book 4 out of 5 stars, and really that 1 star is just taken away for some nitpicky personal preference things. I felt like it was a little bit babbly. Of course, after things pick up a little bit, I got the sense that this was definitely Elle's kind of stream of consciousness that we were reading, but she doesn't actually even address the reader as reader until very late in the story, and I think clarifying that earlier on would help me forgive those times when I was just kind of like... I was also really sold on this book as a new adult read, so closer to the adult than YA on that kind of classifying scale. And it probably is, but just not in the ways that I wanted it to be. So I wanted some more complex world building, really intense dynamics in the relationships, but it just wasn't that complicated. But that actually means that it's still a really great book, and it's just easier to read and not hard for you to understand. So I would actually recommend this probably to solid mid-teens to very early 20-year-olds. Could definitely enjoy this book. We only have more and more to look forward to. Well guys, that's all I have for you today on Naomi Novik's first book in her Scholomance series, A Deadly Education. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I think that's worthy of putting a hold on it here at the library. When we open back up to the public, come find me, Kayla, in CPL's Adult Services Department, and let me know what you thought about it. Bye everyone, and thanks for watching!